Since all of us can remember, we've been talking about racism. We've had it in our lives. We've seen it. We know what it is. But for some reason, it's been pushed under the rug for so long, and now all of a sudden it's being brought into the light, which is really good. But I want to know why it's still happening. We all live in America. We all are legal. We're all here. We're doing what we do. But for some reason, racism is still here. And the Black Lives Matter movement has come up again, which is really good. And we're starting to make things happen. We're starting to move things again. We're starting to, Gen Z especially, which is really good, they're starting to show up and they're starting to speak out on things. They're starting to use social media. So you use platforms. They're starting to use white privilege, which is really good, towards the Black Lives Matter movement to hopefully see a change. Racism is happening around us all the time, and for some reason people still don't see a problem with it. They still think, oh, all lives matter. All lives do matter, but all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. And I feel like that's a lot of people don't get that. It's just not registering, and I cannot understand why. It's such an important movement, and I've participated lately in any protests I can go to, any donations, anything that I can do, because I know that I have white privilege, and I know that if I participate, my voice hopefully will be heard and put towards the movement of ending racism straight up. In this little spiel, I'm going to talk about participating in Black Lives Matter, what that means, like how to attend the protest, what to do, and all the things that are implied with all that, and all the things that should be implicated, like what to wear, what to do, how to act, how to use your privilege, how to stay safe, and all that kind of stuff. So with the history of protests, a lot of people forget that we've used protests in the past to get our point across. Like, yes, we have used it for Black Lives Matter multiple times. It shocks me that we still need to do it. But we've also used it for, like, LGBTQ community. They've used both peaceful and more aggressive protests, but over, unfortunately, a long time, they finally started to see change. They started to start getting rights and all that stuff towards themselves, which is really good. And if we could see the results of that towards the Black Lives Matter movement, we would be okay. Hopefully, I would hope. It's not, we don't want to be violent. We try to keep it peaceful, but if it gets to that point, we don't have a choice. In the past, there was slavery and segregation, and we should be over that. We should see what we did wrong in the past, and move on from it, but we cannot figure out how to do that for some reason. And I don't know why the past is still being, like, looked at right now. Why are we still treating people of color the way that we did? So since I touched on the past and how we are still talking about it, get ready for what's coming, because it's super important. And I think a lot of people need to know about this, especially if you're considering participating in the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests and all that, just to stay safe. So when it comes to white privilege, this is probably the number one thing. According to Protesters' Rights, which I accessed June 20th of this year, our rights are known as traditional public forums. So we have our rights. This isn't just for white privilege, but we need to know our rights, and then as white people, we need to use our privilege to implement these, because unfortunately, if it's a person of color going against a white man's word, for still some reason that I don't know, we don't have a competition. Like, the man of color will never compete, and I don't understand why. But we need to use our white privilege to implement these rights, and to make sure that these rights are known by every single person, make sure that we all stay safe. And white privilege, I feel like a lot of people look, and when we say that, they're like, oh, white privilege, you guys think you're higher than us. No. According to Dillard C. Collins, having white privilege is, and having white privilege and recognizing it is not racist, but white privilege exists because of historic enduring racism and biases, we need to recognize that saying that we have white privilege isn't racist and not putting ourselves above people. It's just saying that we know that we're not going to be put at a gunpoint for standing up for something like a person of color would, or we have a less chance of being killed at a protest than a person of color would, which is unfortunate, but we need to know that so that we can implement that at the protests and all that stuff to make sure that everybody is safe and in line. Sorry, it stresses me out just talking about it. When you go to when you go to the protest, make sure as well that you're wearing darker clothes. Like, this is what I would wear, this, and then like a pair of black jeans and black shoes. Wear things that can go unrecognizable, unidentifiable, because you want to make sure that nobody can come after you, nobody can like press charges against you, all that, because you're trying to prove a point. And if one person gets charged, it's better than 100 people getting charged because they don't know who you are. And also, you want to make sure you have like safety supplies, like water, milk, just in case you get maced, all that stuff, because the odds of you getting hurt at those protests are slim, but I wouldn't take the chance, honestly, because it could get bad. So in this very aggressive spiel, very run-on spiel, I touched on the history of slavery, the history of racism, all that stuff, to what protests can entail, to what you should do at a protest, to how to stay safe. So when you go, just make sure you don't hold back, because how are we going to live in a country where the national anthem says land of the free, home of the brave, and we're going to be racist towards the people that live in it? So once we start making it make sense and helping it make sense, then we can move on from it and we can live in a country that we want to live in with equality.